Hey everybody, Sophia Parola here with the Garden State Film Festival, and right now I have the pleasure of interviewing two very special people who made the documentary feature, The Remedy. How are you guys? Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having
Great.
us.
Nice to be here.
Oh, it's great to be here too. Before we get started, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourself and your titles in the documentary.
So I'm Boris Tsessarsky. I'm the writer, co-writer, co-producer, and the director of The Remedy. I'm also a 2022 recipient of a New Jersey Arts Council film grant. And I've made a few films prior to this, but this is my first feature-length film. And Paula and I, a few years ago, began a company called Parkway North Productions. And this is the first major film of our little company.
Wow, thank you, Boris. And
Thank you.
Paula.
And my name is Paula Neves, and I am the co-writer and co-producer of The Remedy and co-founder with Boris of Parkway North Productions, which we started, around 2018, right, Boris?
About 2018.
Wow.
My background is as a poet, a writer, also venturing more recently into visual art. Film is a part of that. And I am the 2020 recipient of the New Jersey Poets Prize from the Journal of New Jersey Poets. So,
congrats to you both. Very successful, and I can't believe you guys just started a production company in 2018, already have a film out and in the festivals. That's amazing. What a great start. Boris or Paula, whoever, can you tell our audiences watching a little bit about your documentary that's at the Garden State this year?
Paula, you wanna take this?
Can you hear me? I think she can't. Boris, would you like to tell everybody a little bit?
Sure. So our film is a music documentary, a hip hop documentary, and it profiles two New Jersey artists, Freddy Salgado, who is an Ecuadorean immigrant, and Serenity AKATDB, and she is a queer mechanic, rapper, and somebody who struggles with lupus. And the story is about her, her struggles and her successes, and just sort of like the world of New Jersey hip hop and how, sort of under the radar it can be.
Wow. So when did you and Paula first start, decide that you wanted to make this documentary? How did you find the artists?
Paula, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear now. I just got another call in. It just kicked me out for a minute. I'm sorry I missed what your response was. So Boris had already been working with the artists when I came on board. I think you were just at the beginning of it. You just had the idea and maybe started having a relationship with them, asking them initial questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about it when I came on board, and we just further developed it. But I don't think I've fully heard the story of how you discovered them.
What's interesting is, so I teach for a living, and my students kind of know that I do film stuff, and they knew that I was making a music documentary. And they pointed me to a studio in New Jersey, in Belleville, New Jersey, called KRTV Studio. And it was a hip hop recording studio. And it was there that I started to meet a lot of local artists. And it was there that I first met Freddy, Face Cadet, one of the profiles in the film. And then eventually I also met Serenity at another party. And we just felt that Freddy and Serenity would be really good artists to have side by side. They didn't know each other. They don't know, well, I don't want to give much away. They didn't know each other before the film began. And we thought that their personalities were different and dynamic enough that they would make for a really exciting pairing. And it turned out that way, we think.
Wow. How did you, oh yeah, Paula, did you want to add to when you first heard about the project? What really inspired you to jump on?
They both had a connection to the Newark metropolitan area. which, you know, Boris is in Montclair, but that's Essex County. We both teach in Newark. I'm a Newark native. So that was really appealing to me. And then it was really appealing to me as a working artist. I've been a working artist, you know, my whole life. And here were two people who were working artists who were balancing their, you know, day jobs with their art and really, you know, making headroads, and using their day jobs to, you know, kind of feed their art too. So that was really exciting for me to explore.
I mean, you two both co-wrote this like together. How do you write a documentary? Did you know where the story was going to go, or did it just happen while you were filming?
Yeah, it's such a good question. You know, a little bit of both. It's sort of like, you know, you plan out certain kinds of shoots, like you plan to get into the studio and record them in the studio. You plan to meet their families and interview them. But then like life stuff happens and you have to sort of like improvise a little bit. So Serenity, you know, there were many times where she wasn't feeling well, and we had to sort of work around you know, some of her health challenges, and then the pandemic struck, and that really changed the way the film ended. And again, I don't want to give too much away, but we, you know, life circumstances forced us to have to think differently about the narrative because of things like the pandemic.
Right.
And Laura, I mean, Paula, sorry, I don't know where Laura came from, but, but yeah. So what was it like?
Okay, I've been called Carla, Laura. I mean, it's
Anything with the A at the end, the 2-syllable A at the end. Paula, yeah. So what was it like for you to write this with Boris? Did the story end up going the way you envisioned it?
I think we're very lucky that we're very compatible in our vision of you know, in our aesthetic, and we were just like, we had a loose framework and like, okay, let's see what happens. We'll show up for shoots like Boris said, but sometimes unexpected happens. And that's also, we're both very open to the magic of cinema, you know, like leave the camera running a little bit longer.
Right.
And like there's a scene in it where towards the end of the film where Boris got this like moment where Freddy is talking and Freddy says something and it's punctuated by the sound of a truck that passes by. I mean, you can't, that wasn't choreographed. It just happened, right? So we're both very, we both have the same approach to, okay, let's just like script it loosely and then see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
How long did it take you guys to get the interviews, all the filming? How long did that take?
The filming took a solid 2 years, so maybe a little bit more. And then, you know, post-production with editing and sound, that probably took another 6-7 months. But we were editing as we were kind of filming. We were editing little sequences to kind of get a sense of where the narrative could go, like what are some directions. And so when we finally, we won a grant in 2020, a Newark arts grant. And once we had the grant, we then, you know, we had clips, we had scenes, we were able to give it to an editor and say, here's what we have. What can you do with our footage? And she just basically condensed it. I mean, we gave her like an hour 15-minute long film, and she just like really gave it shape and cut it by like 20 or 30 minutes. So really sliced it down for us.
Wow. So you guys said this was the first film of your production company. I would love to ask you both, what have you learned that you can take for the next film that maybe people who are watching can take the advice and apply to what they're doing?
Better lighting.
Lighting is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, and just also like you know, when you commit yourself to a long-term project, there's going to be times where you're going to really question like the validity of the project, whether you know you'll be able to finish it. You know, all kinds of roadblocks will pop up, unexpected things, and I think sometimes you just have to just push through and kind of believe, even if it doesn't, even if it isn't like rational, just believe that you'll get through your project, and then somehow it should work out at the end.
Yeah, I mean, just whatever your art is, just stay committed to your vision. Yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest takeaways.
So, I mean, what was the biggest inspiration that you guys were like, let's make this documentary, let's follow Serenity, let's follow Face Cadet? What was the biggest inspiration? What are you trying to get and audiences to feel watching your documentary?
Yeah, well, just in terms of inspiration, like there were a lot of music documentaries that we had watched that had really inspired us. There's a filmmaker named Les Blank, an American documentarian who made many music documentaries about the South, and he profiled marginalized, often working class artists of color. And he did so in this really intimate and personal way where he not only documented the artist, but like documented their communities and documented the food that they ate and just really made it very personal. And that was, for me, that was like a big inspiration for making this film, wanting to make a film not just about the genre of hip hop or whatever genre, but to really put the camera on the inner life, the inner struggles of these artists.
Yeah, and I was inspired. Boris actually got me into Les Blank, but I was always inspired by filmmakers like Jane Campion and Julie Dash, who very much about like the intimacy of communities, of work, of time periods. So I tend to look at things with a little bit of a broader brush sometimes and then find my way in more specifically. But I just love films where you establish this intimate connection with the subject matter or the subjects. And I think that we tried to do that. And I think we were kind of successful, actually. I think that's why people really like the film and it resonates.
And that all took time to develop trust
right.
and comfort with Freddy and Serenity, because people get really confessional and personal on camera, and that's often unexpected for people. They don't realize how much they're going to reveal, and so we just got really lucky that we became friends with the people who we filmed. They're significant people in our lives now, and without the film that probably wouldn't have happened. So that's one of the other, I think, real magics of making film, is that you can really develop relationships beyond the film itself. And so that's been wonderful for us.
And I think it was also just, I want to add, although we did become close with both of them, when we were making this film, we didn't want to co-opt their stories either. And we just let them tell their stories. And we were very careful and consulted with them about, when they did get very personal and very emotional, we had to really balance that. But we were very conscious about not imposing our narratives on them.
Did you guys have to kind of like work with them to edit the documentary in the final stages to make sure that they're proud of what their stories are coming across?
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
We watched the film with all the parties involved.
Wow.
And just to make sure, because we wanted to really honor their stories. And, there were some hard decisions to make. There was some footage that we quite honestly wanted to keep, but they were a little bit uncomfortable with that. And those are hard decisions to make. But we ultimately honored the boundaries that they set. And, we don't think the film suffered at all for that.
Right.
Absolutely. So to wrap this up, I'd love to know how you guys heard about the Garden State Film Festival, how it feels to bring the audiences the festival this year at the 20th anniversary, to bring them the remedy.
Great.
We're super excited.
Yeah, we're super jazzed.
So, I mean, I've known about the Garden State Film Festival for a long time. It's one of the big local New Jersey film festivals. It's in an amazing location, historic location, Asbury Park, and it's going to be in person this year and virtual. So now that things are starting to ease up a little bit, and we couldn't be happier to have one of our in-person screenings, on the shore over there in South Jersey. It's going to be great, and there's such a great music scene down there.
Yeah.
So we're really stoked, and we know musicians down there, so we're hoping to get some folks to come out and represent.
Oh, great! So you both are planning to come to the festival.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, we'll be
I
there.
mean,
We'll be there.
I'm a Jersey girl. I'm very proud of being a Jersey girl. I've traveled a lot, but I'm like, I'm a Jersey girl. This is like awesome.
Oh, yes, I love it. I love to meet filmmakers from Jersey and represent Jersey because they get a bad rep in the media. But
Yep.
amazing artists are from Jersey. And you're right, Asway Park is like a great music scene, wonderfully diverse. And I think it's a wonderful place to screen The Remedy. And I'm really happy
Yep,
to be
absolutely.
here.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you.
congratulations to you both. You made something
you.
wonderful. I really hope I get to meet Face Cadet and Serenity one day if they're going to make it at all. Hopefully they
So
see
too.
this and they will. Let me tell everyone how they can watch The Remedy in person. Of course, like Boris said, it will be virtually. You can access all the films online. But if you want to come see this on the big screen, you will see it at the Berkeley Hotel in the Kingsley Ballroom, Sunday, March 27th in the film block 12 to 2:15 p.m. So definitely check it out. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Thank
It's been a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you,
Have
guys.
a great day.